So on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, we've got another awesome guest. She starred in Twilight Breaking Dawn, Netflix's Maid, Stillborn, and releasing tomorrow from the powerhouse duo that is Dean Devlin and Jonathan Glasner. It's The Ark. It's a lovely Christy Burke. Christy, welcome to the show, my love.
Thank you for having me.
And you know what? I'm so looking forward to this show because, you know, TV at the moment, I mean, I don't know about you, but, you know, I've got into Yellowstone recently. I was late to the party and absolutely love it. But I love a bit of sci-fi. I love a bit of space. So I'm so excited. And what a powerhouse duo this is coming from. I mean, the producer of Independence Day, the executive producer of Stargate SG-1. It couldn't get any better. But before we talk about The Ark, let's find out just a few questions about your background and how you became this wonderful actor that we see on our screens. But before then, I mean, the last 2 years have been quite challenging, to say the least, with the pandemic. Being a performer and an actor, it must have added that stress even more on top. So how have you kept positive and driving forwards during these, you know, troubling times over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I feel kind of guilty because I feel like I didn't have a troubling time. I mean, I did and I didn't. Like, my sister kind of had come to visit me right before the pandemic happened. And so I kind of ended up like, it felt like a summer camp with my sister, you know, for like the entirety of COVID, where me and her just quarantined in my studio apartment together and like tie-dyed everything, made all the foods, like it ran around trying to find toilet paper. So it kind of was like, I think it could have been a lot worse had she not been here. So she kind of kept, I mean, we watched everything. My family, my dad's builds sets for movies. And so, I grew up just always being around film and watching film and analyzing film. So that's like a big bonding thing from me and my family. And yeah, it was just I had the funnest time. I mean, as far as like acting and like the industry, there was like, you know, months and like when it initially happened, I was like, is acting even going to be a job again? Is this something we're even going to be doing? And I felt like at that time, before COVID, I had just signed to this other agent and I felt like my career was finally starting to like see some momentum, and I really felt like I was climbing the quote unquote like ladder or whatever, you know, that sometimes you feel like you're climbing and sometimes you feel like you're not even on it, and sometimes you feel like you're falling 50 feet from it. So I was kind of like in this weird space of like, do I even want to act anymore? Is this something I want to do? Are people even acting anymore? Like, is this an industry that is still going to be around? And for me, it was just, I think I was just so lucky because I had my sister to take my mind off of it. So, you know, I kind of wasn't really thinking about it. And then I remember I was going to quit, actually. I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't know why I'm doing it. And I told my friend, I was like, okay, I'm going to do these 8 self-tapes and then I'm going to quit. Like, and then I'm done. Like, I just can't do it anymore. Like, there was something really like awful about sending all this work into the abyss and never hearing anything and never knowing, like, is this good? There was really like this cycle of having to like claim your own power, claim your own artistry, claim your own voice, claim what you wanted to do with this thing. You weren't going into a room and having a casting director make you change a bold choice or, you know, do something different that didn't really feel like what you wanted to say about this character. So you really had to be like, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm sending, kind of thing. And then I had an audition I filmed 8 self-tapes in one day, and I had an audition for Maid. And I remember reading the character and being like, I know who this is. Like, I just know who this is. I know what I want to do. I'm going to like drink a non-alcoholic beer in this scene. And I'm just going to like be like very wild. And that role changed, I think, the trajectory of my career and my life. I owe a lot to John Wells and Molly Smith-Metzler, who like were just incredible people to work with. And I never thought I would ever work on a show about a story that meant something and then meant something to me. But it's crazy because I filmed that self-tape and was like, okay, I think I'm going to quit.
Wow.
And then
Thank
like
goodness. Thank goodness you
and then
didn't
a month
quit.
later I booked it. Yeah. And then a month later I like booked it and I was like, what the? Yeah, I was like, I really was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I guess like I think, you know, but there was something kind of like freeing about that. Like I didn't ever
Mm,
think of it like, oh, I'm quitting. You know, it was more like, well, I guess that's it.
mm,
And like times are a changing and life moves on and life moves forward and like what else do I want to do? I think, you know, even before COVID, I was kind of experimenting. I like started doing this thing where every year I learn a new skill. So last year I learned how to ski. The year before that, I learned how to like um, put my feelings into writing. The year before that, I learned how to surf. This year, I'm learning how to be better at yoga. And so, like every year, I like pick like a new skill to learn, and I felt like as an actor doing that, it made me go, oh, I'm more than just an actor. I'm more
mm,
than just somebody who can like take on other people. My capacity is so much more than what I think it is.
mm.
And so I think it was kind of like, well, that's okay. You know, it's been a good run.
Which, you know what? Thank God you didn't give up, because literally the world would have missed so much more from you. Because I've got to give a shout out to one of your projects, which is this one here. Because
Oh,
for me, this is probably one of the most terrifying films I've ever watched, especially as I'm a parent. And that moment when you hear those voices in the monitor at the beginning, you know, the two.
yeah.
Um, I've got to say, tingles is an understatement. Literally, my whole body. And do you know what? I watched it in the middle of the day, broad daylight, and it scared the hell out of me. I mean, how
Yeah.
exhausting was it playing that character? Because you could just see, you know, how exhausting it was on screen, because obviously the character that you play, I mean, how challenging was, you know, a part like that in Stillborn?
I mean, I don't, I'm still traumatized by doing that show. I lived in the house that we filmed in, which
Oh,
I've
wow.
never, like, it was a very, like, indie film project. I really liked the people that were a part of it, you know? Yeah, it was terrifying. I don't have kids. I've never been a mom. And so I really, the whole time was like, I don't know why I'm doing this part, but if I do, like, I'm gonna have to go all in, and we're just gonna do whatever it takes. Because my biggest fear with that film was that people weren't gonna buy me as a mom, and so I was kind of like, I'm already like have these things against me, so I'm just gonna have to work really hard. But I literally was like living in a house for like I want to say 2 months, the house that we filmed in. I lived in the attic, which is so
Oh,
creepy. A lot of
what?
it was filmed with, yeah, a lot of it was filmed with like a fake baby, and I would sleep with the fake baby. Like I was, and I called it Santiago. Why? I don't know. And I was just like, I like became obsessed with the baby. No one could touch the fake baby. Like it was probably one of the most method, like immersive projects I've ever been a part of. I was crying every day. I was emotionally unstable. Like I was exhausted. But I think it was because I had never been like a lead of a movie, and I didn't want to like disappoint, and I really felt like at the core of it, yes, it's quite, you know, it's quite silly like this. It can appear quite silly, especially I find because the horror genre isn't always taken that seriously. Especially at that time, like you didn't have
Mm,
Nope or Get Out or these like, you know, Hereditary, like there weren't these like prolific horror film genre movies that like are kind of changing the temperature and how audience members view that genre. And I just remember being like, no one's gonna buy me as this character. But for me, that story was always about a woman dealing with postpartum psychosis,
mm.
and that her psychosis was in the form of this demon. But yeah, it was terrifying, and we shot that last, not to you know ruin it for anybody, but you know the scene where there's another baby, and you don't know what I'm going to do to this other baby. We shot that all in one night, and it was a whole night shoot. And I remember like just saying things to like keep myself in it, and they saved my coverage to the very end, which is quite rare.
Mm.
And I just remember being like, I, I blacked out. Like I was so tired and I was so emotionally drained, and I was like it's the climax of the movie. I was like, I got nothing left. Like I was just like walking around like losing my mind, being like the craziest actor I possibly could be. I was just like, oh my gosh. But I am happy that you enjoyed it, you know.
Oh,
It sounds
do you know what?
it's but it is
I am.
scary. It is scary.
I think the scariest movies or shows are the ones that are more psychological. I think that work on you in your head, because I've got to say, thank God I watched this after I had kids, because if I didn't, I would think twice about getting monitors and cameras, because I think anything with
Yeah.
kids and babies and yeah, it freaks me out. It really, really does. But no, fantastic. If anyone wants to watch that in the UK, it's on Shudder at the moment. Go and watch it. It's an amazing movie. I actually enjoyed it a hell of a lot better than Nope. So, do you know
Oh
what I mean?
wow.
So there you go. So
I'll take that. I mean, I'm like, you said that, and I was like, whoa, what a compliment.
So,
Thank
I
you.
I mean, obviously, starting out in the industry, who influenced you the most? In the way of, people that you wanted to look up to and you wanted to be, like, or who you admired. When you started out.
You know, it's so interesting. I never thought I would be an actor, and yet my mom and my sister tell these stories, and I'm like, oh, of course I became an actor. Like, it makes the most sense. You know, I started modeling at a really young age, and that's kind of what I did. And then through modeling and through, having an incredible high school drama teacher, like really see something in me. It's so funny, you look back, especially when you like book a show like The Ark, and you have to like do this press stuff, and it really makes you reflective and look back on your life and your career. You realize like all the turning points in your life have always been like this one sentence, which is, oh, somebody saw something in me and made me see it myself, which I think is insane. Like I feel that with Dean Devlin and Jonathan Glasner. I don't know how I booked The Ark. I almost didn't. And even with Maid or Billy the Kid, like these people saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and then gave me such an incredible gift to like showcase that. I just and it did start with like acting teachers. Like I know my high school drama teacher used to be like, "You're Audrey Hepburn. You're Audrey Hepburn. Go home and like watch Audrey Hepburn movies. You're so like her." Um, and then I'd have another acting teacher be like, "You're Katharine Hepburn. You're Katharine Hepburn." And I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, tell me which one I am, okay? Which sister am I?" But also, like, I think there are worse people to be like compared to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these are incredible, incredible, timeless, beyond amazing actresses. And then I was really obsessed with Jessica Lange, I think, for a little bit there. So she really inspired me. I saw this movie Frances, which I just thought was like the bee's knees. But you know what? For me, because I've been watching such intense films since I was like 4, like I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was like, "Remember when we went to Jurassic Park, the movie, the opening?" And I was like, "I would have been 4. Why are you taking a 4-year-old to Jurassic Park? Like what?" But I do remember it. I have this like weird obsession with dinosaurs. I love Steven Spielberg and the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise. Like, I think that's one of my biggest like upsets in my career, is not like booking a part in one of them. Like, I'm just like, oh, can they please can they come back and like make more, But
But you
yeah, I
never know.
think
You never know. They are keep making them. I mean,
yeah,
dinosaurs will never go away. So who knows? You might
yeah,
be in the next Jurassic, whatever they want to call it. Who knows?
yeah. Who
That's a
knows?
wonderful thing about your career, is that literally it's endless.
Mm.
All these parts. I mean, do you have a plan in place of what you want to achieve as an actor?
I think when I was 7, I did. Like I said, like I have been fascinated with movies. I've always known that they weren't real. I don't know. I can't explain it. Like I've always known that they're not real, and so therefore my mom always just let me watch everything. Like she was kind of like, she gets it. She knows that they're not real. And my parents were quite young when they had me too. But I remember the first time I ever saw Titanic. Like I think that movie, kind of, I don't know if you've seen The Fablemans, but
Not
you know
yet.
that opening.
No,
Oh my gosh, you need to see it. The
not
opening
yet.
scene is, you got to see it. It's so good. But it's like an ode to like cinema and like Steven Spielberg's love for cinema, or at least that's how I perceived it. But there's this scene of this little boy going to see this movie that ends up, being a little bit like he shouldn't have seen it, kind of thing.
Mm.
Like it was maybe a little bit too scary for him. And I remember being 7 and seeing Titanic and like begging my parents for whatever reason to like take me to Titanic. And they did, and they took me on this like double date. And I remember like watching this movie, not really understanding it, but also deeply understanding it. And watching her let go of Jack's hand and like listening to the entire audience go, and then like looking up and like seeing all these people like crying and illuminated by like the light of the screen, and then looking to my mom and she's crying, and looking to my dad and he's crying. And I just remember being like, and I'm crying. Like, I just remember being like, wow, that's the power of like story and cinema, is like this uniting people in a room over a simple story, you know? And I think that's where it all kind of started for me, whether or not it happened right away or I kind of, got there in a kind of roundabout weird way, but I think that's kind of where it all started. I think I didn't answer your question. I think I forgot your question.
Do you know what? I'm literally. Do you know what I've got a habit of is that I will ask a question and I get lost in what my guests say, and then all of a sudden I'm just blanked at the end because I'm so intrigued in what you're saying. But no, it's fine. I mean, fast forward, and we've got this great show that's coming out that's streaming from tomorrow. How wonderful it is to have something gripping back on our screens, and from two amazing guys, as we mentioned at the beginning, Dean Devlin and Jonathan Glasner. So we're expecting big things. I mean, how did you get the role? How did the role come about for you? And what attracted you to the role that you're playing?
Well, I remember I woke up February 2nd. No, I wrote in my diary. No, but I did. I woke up on February this, and I had just shot or ended shooting Billy the Kid the year before, like end of summer, fall. So, and that was like a transformative experience. I mean, the people I got to work with, the crew, the cast, everyone, like, and I had just done that part prior to doing this intensive in New York with this amazing teacher named Terry Knickerbocker, and this other teacher, Caputo. And so they kind of really changed how I saw myself. And I think Billy the Kid made me realize, like, oh, you could be a leading lady if you wanted to be. Whereas before, because I have curly hair, I always felt like, oh, I'll play the prostitute or the crackhead or the crazy chick, because I've got these crazy curly hair. So I never felt like I could be the lead because it just wasn't reflected back to me as that. And so then, I go through Christmas, whatever, and I wake up on February 2nd, and my agent's like, there's this really weird, like, email from, like, England. I don't even know how they found you, but do you want to audition for the lead of the show? Like, who's a part of it? She's named Dean Devlin, and my agent, like, she's not, like, a film person. These names, and she's like, Dean Devlin and Jonathan Glasner, and I was just like, yes, I want to audition for it. Oh my gosh, do you not know who these people are? Like, my dad builds spaceships, that's kind of his thing, and so I've always dreamt of being on like a Star Trek or a Stargate or a Battlestar Galactica. But yeah, so I got an audition for it, and then I got a call back, which was and Jonathan, and they were just so lovely and so amazing. The whole this, like, no one's ever gonna believe me as, like, leading a ship. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. And like, also Sigourney Weaver has done it. I know. I was like, Sigourney Weaver has done it and nailed it. Like, they don't want my interpretation of this. It'd be emotional. Anyways, and so then I did that, and then it was, they want you, but we don't know. Like, my agent called me a month later and was like, I don't think it's happening. Let's move on. Oh. And I was still on hold for it, but it was like on. And then I was skiing, and I get this call, and my agent's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm skiing." She's like, "You got to get on a plane in 24 hours off the mountain. Like, you're headed to Serbia."
And that's it.
I was like,
That's
and that's it. What? And Dean later told me he had seen me in this really small, like, niche independent film I did years and years and years ago, like 6 years ago, called Black Fly, and seen my character in that and been like, oh, that's Garnett. And I was like, that's so crazy, because that character is like an ex-prostitute who's like fighting for her life, I guess. I guess that's the similarity between her and Garnett.
So if you could tell us a bit about the show and what the premise of the show is, because the trailer, and they released, I think, the first minute, which literally was astonishing. If you could tell the viewers a bit about the show in itself and what they've got to look forward to.
Okay, I love it. So it's set 100 years in the future, which is, I think, the unique aspect of our show, because you're not having 1,000 or 10,000 years in the future where tech advanced, and so I can't even imagine 1,000 years. But at least with 100 years in the future, it seems plausible, but also you can kind of see that with the way the world is kind of going, you know, this idea that the world is burning up and, you know, creating. And so the world sends an international crew to outer space to go find a colony to inhabit and start again, to save mankind. And upon the ship ends up getting hit by something, you know, and kills all the, like, basically the lieutenant, like the captains and the more advanced, basically the people in charge, with all these unexpected heroes having to become their own heroes, essentially. And so it's, you know, a bunch of people who really are out of their depth and having to rise above to try and save themselves, save humanity. I'm excited about for people to see is it's got everything. It's like it's so charming, you know. It's one of those shows that has everything. It's, you know, it's funny, and it's fast paced, and it's filled with so much action, which I've never been a part of. I got to do all my own stunts, which was wild. Didn't even know I could do that. A lot of action. It's got some real, how would I put this? Like, real relationships that are entrenched in, like, heart. And there's, you know, the problems they deal with, I think, are the problems that we deal with as humans. And I think every audience member is going to have their favorite character, because it's so diverse. There's so much individualism and so much misfit energy that I think is reflected back. And yeah, have their favorite character and be rooting for people. And then there's mystery in there as well. And you don't really know if everyone is who they say they are.
I mean, this is obviously set in space on the Ark. I mean, what was it like being in a sci-fi show? And did you pick up any new skills, any lingo that you learnt along the way, you know, just in case this did happen in the next few years?
Yeah, I am so ready to go to space. No, I feel for, like, how to give a speech. Like, I gave in this show a lot of, like, 4-page speeches that Jonathan Glasner and the writing team, like, did such an incredible job writing, that I feel like now I'm like, I can just give speeches. So I feel like, I don't know if that would but maybe. Yeah, there's so much lingo, like, there was so much stuff. I mean, I can't talk about some of the science of stuff, because it is revealing of secrets later on. But there was so much stuff that I was just electrical, nuclear electronic propulsion systems, like all these like EVAs. Yeah, I don't know. It was wild. I've never done a show like that. I've always, this is a chair and that's a person and I'm talking to them. I've never done like, okay, we're on a spaceship and that shoots, lasers, and if I press this button, it will like talk to everybody. Space, but really it's a huge, massive green screen, and this is a computer I'm typing on, but it doesn't do anything when I type on it. Like I just had I had never done anything like that felt so imaginative and like I was 5 again playing make believe in my kitchen or whatever.
I mean, I've heard as well from a Dicky Bird that you like ice cream.
Reveal my secret.
Yep. So that is from someone that I've just been chatting about, and he said that there's a story behind it.
Oh, what's the story of me loving ice cream?
Now, apparently, you would have ice cream after each time that you were on set or something like that. After
which was every day. I was on set every day.
Every day you was on set. Were you actually working on set, or was it just the case of the ice cream was attracting you to the set?
No, I was so stressed out, and then we all stayed in this hotel that was like 2 blocks away from an ice cream shop. And so ice cream became the thing, especially because Garnett's so heavy and so serious, and I'm quite the opposite. I'm very playful and I don't take things so seriously. It felt like a good cleansing the palate. But I did it every day. I for I want to say 6 months I ate ice cream every day, rain or shine. I have a video of me and Reese in a storm, in a blizzard. Like literally we were getting the wind was blowing. We're like, we're here getting ice cream. It was my thing. I feel like in acting, especially when you're working on a set that's quite immersive, it's nice to have something that takes you out of character.
I've got a feeling though that you may have had too much ice cream in this picture here. So, this is the sort of thing
Reese did me dirty. Reese did me dirty is what I'm realizing. I did, you know what? People were like, how did you prepare to play Garnett? And I was like, oh, I drank 10 cups of coffee every day and ate a lot of ice cream.
Well, do you know what? You can have your thingy back at him, because obviously Reese is coming onto the show on Tuesday. So anything that you want to share about him, you're more than welcome to.
Oh man, Reese. I have nothing to share. I just love the guy. I love Reese and Richard. I love the entire cast. I think we really became a family. No one makes me laugh harder than Richard on set. And no one makes me laugh harder in person in life than Reese, Richard's so funny because he's got the best character. I think Bryce is just a brilliant character. He's witty, he's funny, he has the best lines, and he delivers them with perfection. And he would just deliver them, and Garnett's very serious. And I had to start making Garnett be amused by Bryce because of how good Richard was. He would just make me die of laughter. And then Reese and me became this these two, he really helped me. We became these two people fighting this beast or this Mount Everest of a show together. And he would take me for ice cream and talk me down, because I'd be like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I can't remember all these lines, and I'm tired and I don't know what to do. And he'd be like, okay, calm down. You're going to be okay. But I'm trying to think. Funny stories about Reese. Oh, he's going to be so mad that I told you this, but I'm going to tell you. Okay. Reese one time farted in my face.
And there was me thinking he was the male version of Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way. And he farted in your face.
Yeah, I was sitting down on the bridge, and he didn't see me, and all of a sudden this thing happened, and he kind of looked around, and then he saw me, and he wasn't going to say anything. He's going to be so mad I told this story. And then he saw me, and we both looked at each other, and I was kind of looking at him we don't got to talk about this. This didn't happen. We can just let it go. And he just started going, yeah, I just farted in your face. And I was like, yeah. And then we just died of laughter. But it was the moment I felt like me and Reese were we're doing this thing. We bonded over a fart.
Exactly. It's a bonding. Who needs group tattoos when you get farted in the in the face? Forget the hobbits. Let's do a group fart. and then you're all sorted. That is awesome. That is,
Yeah.
did you keep? Oh no, he is going to kill you. You know what?
He's gonna kill me.
Do you know what? I'm literally not going to say anything to him until I interview him, and I'm going to record it, and I'm going to see how he feels about flatulence in the facial area, and see if he if he figures that out.
Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous for him to. I'm so nervous for him to see this. I'm gonna get a huge text. I'm gonna get a huge text that's gonna be like, "Are you kidding me?"
Don't worry, I'm going to cut that bit and I'm going to put it on YouTube Shorts, TikTok. Reese farted in my face. But no, this show
almost gave me pink eye.
Oh dear! Oh no! Oh no!
I'm just
His solicitors,
kidding.
His lawyers is going to be on the phone. But no, this show looks absolutely fantastic. It really, really does. And I can't wait for it to come out. So it's streaming on Peacock and Sci-Fi, which is awesome. Which is every Wednesday. But I've got a few more questions. Just a few more.
Yeah. Let's go.
If this actually really happened and we were on this ship, what 3 items would you take with you currently that you have that you wouldn't want to leave behind, and why?
Oh, this is such a good question. I would take a photograph of probably me and my sister and brother, or like family. I would take a rock. I'm obsessed with rocks. And I also think too, like, that was something I really thought about, like, is if 100 years in the future, you can't swim in the ocean anymore because it's acid, or you can't go outside because the solar radiation is going to like literally burn you to a crisp, like all these things, or you can't go ski on a mountain. All these things that I love to do would be gone. Like, what do you as a human dream about, or hope you can one day do? All these things, these like basic things that you take for granted every day. And so I would definitely probably bring like a rock from the ocean, or like a shell or something like that. That's like nature, and then I don't know. I know what like Reese would probably say, which is his PlayStation 5.
Oh, he's not a PlayStation man, is he? Oh dear, that explains it all.
I don't know. I'd probably bring a book of some sort, or I don't know. I think things that are like very entrenched in like earth, if that makes sense. Like things that are like a book. I feel like an original book, I think in the future would be rare. So I'd probably bring that.
Wow. And if you, with the show, do you keep anything as like a memento? Have you kept any of your pieces from the show?
So, man, I really wanted to keep some of the jumpsuits they made for me. Like, those aren't like just purchased in a store. Like, they made those for us. And they made some like pretty killer jumpsuits for me. But I stole a badge.
Well, it's not stealing, is it? It's
let me grab it. Let me grab it.
Yes.
I have it right here. I took this because I was like, one day, no one's gonna ever believe I was in the military. It's like we wear them on our shirts like this, and I was like, no one's ever gonna believe that Christy Burke. Wait. It's like opposite. Yeah, there we go. That Christy Burke was in the military, sector military.
And it literally says it on the badge. It literally says that on there, military. But it's not stealing. Is that the only thing, honestly, that you took from it? Because I'm like a magpie. If I was on there, I'll be like looking around going, yeah, I'm having that. I'm having this.
I think I was so scared of getting fired. I was like, Dean's gonna kill me off. No, I took the so-and-so. No, you know what it was? They were so good at like making sure you gave everything back to them. Like you'd get text messages from some of the costume designers being like, hey, like those socks are missing. And you'd be like, the socks? Really? Okay, yeah, like they were just so good at like being on top of stuff that it was really hard to take things. Like I don't even know how I took this. I don't even know how. I think I just was like, I'm taking something.
But thing
But
is, though, that is
yeah.
a good sign because, normally when they are very possessive over the stuff, it may mean that maybe we could get a season two eventually,
Oh, I
which would
hope
be
so. I hope so.
awesome because with the cancellation sort of trend that's going on at the moment, it's so frustrating as a viewer to get invested. And I just hope that from what I've seen, it just looks worthy enough, definitely from the trailer alone, to get renewed for season two. So fingers crossed.
Yeah,
So
I
the
hope
next,
so.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, quality TV at the moment. I think that these networks need to realize and listen to the viewers. If we love them, at the end of the day, we're paying subscriptions and streaming stuff, and so fingers crossed. But one of the last questions I've got, and when I had Richard on the show, it really stumped him. So, if your life was a movie, Christy, what title would
Yes.
it have and why?
I've thought about this a lot, actually. Me and my
Have you?
sister play this game. Yeah, the only reason why I've thought about this a lot is because me and my sister play this game where um, you'll say like a really bizarre title of something, and she'll be like, that'd be a really good movie title. Um, I don't know. I feel like after this talk, let's go get ice cream, but no farts or something.
And what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? And don't say fart flavor.
Oh, oh yeah, no. I know. I feel like everyone after watching this is gonna be like, "Wow, she's really into farts." I'm not. This is the most I've ever said this word in my life. Um, what's my favorite flavor? Okay, so in this is like a shout out to my favorite ice cream place in Vancouver. It's called Ernest Ice Cream, and they do this like really rare, obscure flavor called Spruce Bud, which tastes like strawberry, but it's not. It's got more of like a woodsy, I don't know, it's so good. It's called Spruce Bud. But if I had to go, the ice cream that I ate in Serbia, which was delicious, probably the best thing they had there, which, was kind of surprising. I was like, oh, Serbia has amazing ice cream. I would have to go with, oh man, they would do like amazing, like obscure fruits. Like you'd get like a gooseberry, or
Mm.
which isn't we don't have gooseberries in Vancouver, but I've had it before in New Zealand. Um, but yeah, gooseberry I think is pretty up there.
Oh.
But
So,
I'm somebody who needs like three different flavors. So I need like a chocolate, I need a fruit, and then I need something a little, like random.
wow. Wow.
I,
Do you,
I,
do you know?
Welcome to the Mind of Christy. That would be the title of my movie. Welcome to the
There
Mind
we
of
go.
Christy.
There we go. And Oscars are
Yeah,
on your way.
oh yes, my friend saw a movie recently, which I love. It's called
Oh,
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I haven't seen it yet. Everyone keeps on saying watch it because it's amazing, and obviously
It's
she's doing
so
so
good.
well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. I just want to be Michelle Yeoh, genuinely. I just think she's amazing. But all my friends have watched that movie and been like, "That's you in a movie." And when you see the movie, I want you to contemplate whether or not that's a good thing.
I would definitely check it
Email me
out.
back. Email me
Yeah.
back.
Do you know what? I would definitely check it out. But what's next for you? Is it a case of putting your feet up now and enjoying, you know, the arc coming out? Are you just relaxing? I mean, it's one of those questions I suppose actors get all the time, and it must be quite frustrating because unless you're doing something, people think, oh, But I suppose you're allowed some time off and to put your feet up. So how do you keep
Yeah.
yourself busy between work and jobs?
Well, I feel like a broken record, but I've been skiing so much here. I just bought new skis that are a little bit more advanced. Um, Me and my mom go skiing together all the time. I like literally go almost every day and ski moguls and do all the jumps. And yeah, I
Wow.
just recently, this is what's really cool when you learn a new skill. So I ski at this mountain called Cypress, in West Van or North Van, and there's this one run that if you go up to the very top and you take, this is like going to be so niche. So anyone who's from Vancouver, shout out to you who skis this mountain. I'll see you out there. But there's this run called Ripcord, like RIP cord, and me and my mom always laugh because on Cypress the like black runs are like Satan's ball sack or like Devil's Fortress or Rest in Peace cord, and you're just like, great, this is where I die. And I'll never forget it. The first day I ever went skiing, I was like, I'm never going to be able to do that run. It's like a double black, moguls, like crazy jumps. Like it's the hero lap. It's like right underneath the chair. So you have that added pressure of like people watching you. And me and my mom did it the other week for the first time. And I've only been skiing for like literally a year. And I'm not kidding. We cried. We like literally were so proud of ourselves. We were like, oh, yes, let's go. Like if you saw this run, you'd be like, I can't believe you did this. So that's literally all my life. I'm so embarrassed.
But how much
my life has been consisting of.
how much of that run was you in control? And how much of it was just sheer, oh my days, let me live?
Yeah. I think what was going through my head the whole time I was doing it was, I'm fighting for my life out here. I'm fighting for my life. It's so funny. Like, me and my mom my mom is an incredible coach and used to coach gymnastics, and, you know, everyone calls her Coach Jan. And so she taught me how to ski like within like an hour. It was insane. And so she likes to take me on things that like she calls it training. And I'm like, we're not in the Olympics. Like, I just want to learn a new skill. But she would take me on these like gnarly mogul runs and be like, you got to get good at this, because then one day when you hit the ripcord, you're going to nail it. And so I genuinely nailed it. Like, we did it 5 times. It was like, I wasn't fighting for my life. I was cool as a cucumber. I was like jumping moguls and just was like completely chill. But it was because Coach Jan had me doing the craziest moguls I've ever seen in my life.
Do you know
fighting
what?
for my life.
It just sounds like I'm in the safest country there is, because literally we don't have mountains, we don't have skiing, we have, you know, going to the local supermarket. That's the most dangerous thing that we've got, especially where I live. But but Christy, you've been a great guest. It's been absolutely a pleasure to have you on. I can't wait for this to start streaming tomorrow night. And I'm just praying that it gets received.
That just gave me a shiver.
Did it?
I just got a shiver you saying that. Well, it's so funny because like you do this thing, like me and Richard and Reese talked about this. Like you make this thing, and that's a whole process, and then you finish it, but then it's still yours. Like you haven't given it to anyone yet, and like I'm just in shock. I never thought this day would come. I can't believe I am on this show. And now I'm going to be like sharing it with the world. And like, that's crazy because you have no control over like if people are going to like it or not, or, you know, I'm really excited. I think it's so charming, and the things that maybe people find are its faults, will think that we'll find those things charming. Do you know what I mean? Because I do. But yeah, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that. It's crazy.
And are you going to have a watch party? Are you going to get a few, you know, tubs of ice cream and sit down and reminisce?
I'm going to be eating my stress. I'm going to be like, I don't think I'm going to have a watch party. I think I have to do like, there's a Twitter thing that Dean is putting on and a Facebook Live thing that I'm going to be a part of. I think it's like 7 and 9 or something like that. But this is going to be quite bizarre, but I'm very shy. Like I'm an introvert, very to myself. I know it might not seem like that, but I am. And the idea of like sitting in a room watching the pilot with everybody, which I did at Electric Entertainment. Dean had me like watch, you know, showed us the pilot in front of all the writers and me. And I was just like sitting there going, this is my worst nightmare. Like not like watching it, but like watching it with a group of people that you know is like, oh my gosh. So I don't think I'm gonna have a watch party. I feel like that might be too anxious and stressful for me. So I'll just be on Twitter going, yes, great job, everybody.
Tick, 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 and just not looking. No, no. Do you know what? I cannot wait, and I can't wait to see the feedback and the love for this show, because it's already trending. This show's going to do fantastic, and it's about time we get a good sci-fi series back on our screens, because it's been a while since
Yeah.
a decent one's been on there. But Christy, look
And
after
it's
yourself.
very true.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no,
It's
it's all
very
right.
true to like old Star Trek, like very true to like I think the authentic charm of like an old Star Trek show. So yeah, you take care of yourself. I will stop
Yes.
interrupting you now.
It is fine. Thank you once again so much for coming on the show. It's
Yeah.
been an absolute pleasure. I had a blast, and I've learned a lot about you that I didn't think I was going to learn, and a lot about Reese as well, which I'm sure we're going to have a chat about when I have Reese on the show next week. But keep safe and stay super, Christy.
Yeah, you too. Stay super.